So I was going back and watching old Let's Plays that the procrastinators did when I was a youngin', and it made me think about not just when all of the things that they're talking about were relevant, but the way I felt at the time I was consuming these things. The fact that all of these things were new um, felt really enlightening to me, because you have to remember I grew up extremely isolated in a rural environment in the woods with only really my family to be an influence, and the very few years I was in the public schooling system where everybody tried their best to be exactly the same. It was difficult to find excitement or intrigue in the world, and as such, even more difficult to find out who I was or what I wanted. I watched a lot of these videos, and they were so novel to me that it felt like more than just a career for these people or a medium by which information can be expressed. It felt like watching and creating media in this manner brought something out of me, something soulful out of me, and that in that sense the format literally had soul. And whenever I could make something that was in that vein or that progressed in some way in my goal to produce entertaining or good content, um, it was a deeply euphoric thing. It's a kind of euphoria I felt getting into a sort of flow state, having written recent pieces on my channel. I've been trying to write more since then, but like with many writers, the ideas have not come, the spark, the inspiration. I haven't had stories I've wanted to tell as much as I wanted to tell those. And it feels like without this whole YouTube thing, ever since I discovered these guys, the PCP, and I became really obsessed with what they were doing, I discovered just how much I like doing the YouTube stuff. And from there, I went from being an extremely aimless person, basically waiting until I would get Christmas or birthday money every year in order to engage in conspicuous consumption, only to then run out and then wait for the next time I could do the exact same thing again. While in a broader sense, looking at a bigger calendar, I was waiting until I could become 18 to leave my family entirely, but there were many things to wait for on the way there to keep me alive or keep me satisfied. Now, my whole life I've been waiting. I've just been waiting endlessly for different things to happen. It hasn't really felt like I've been living my life. It's felt more like I've been surviving up until now. But I am attached to that optimism, that euphoria, that sheer amount of love that I felt when I consumed a lot of content in this manner, and then felt compelled to make it. I would wake up every day thinking, what YouTube video am I gonna make? What can I do today to facilitate the process or to come up with new ideas? Everything has to be about videos. And to this day, as my output has decreased in comparison to the sheer volume of what it used to be, I still create. And in many ways, it feels like creating this stuff is all I have. The less that I do it, the more hollow I feel. But at the same time that I do it and I feel those fleeting moments of happiness, those fleeting moments like existing is okay, I look at the majority of my life and it feels empty. Desperately searching for an escape from the daily malaise, the grind, wanting some time off the hamster wheel. You get on the hamster wheel and you're just endlessly running on it, the same cycle again and again and again. All for what? To make a couple dollars at the end of the day to fund the basic necessities of life, a place to live, things to eat, the basic sustenance to maintain energy as well as the chemicals in your brain that in the first place allow you to function. I mean, how much have I, potentially put those chemicals out of balance? I mean, they were out of balance in the first place, or else I wouldn't be so miserable or existential. But have I made the problem worse with some of the approaches I've taken to life? I don't know. I mean, that's really what all this comes down to, is I don't know. But what is life really about? Is it about enjoying it the most? I don't have the ability to do that because I'm a slave to the system that we're all a slave to. You have to work a certain amount or else you don't eat. I can't make my own hours. And it's like, even if I could make my own hours in a safe, good environment, free from stress, free from the coercion of abusive folks around me, as I have freed myself from, new problems arise. New kinds of coercion and abuse arise. It's just from institutions rather than from individuals for the most part, or at least individuals in your immediate environment. So, am I really doing better? Am I really free? I mean, I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. But I gotta focus on paying the bills. I gotta focus on how I'm gonna live pay to paycheck. You know, they say get an education to get a better job. That's how you're free. You beat the daily grind through doing that, and then you become free, but you're really just enslaving yourself to a different institution, one that compensates you more, but you're still a slave at the end of the day. Just a slave with more security. What do I do about that? I mean, even if I'm in need, even if I have no job and I'm just fucking living off of welfare as I used to, there's no friends around me nearby. Um, I get you get bored of that eventually too. It's like even if there are friends nearby, those friends are gonna leave you eventually. Every single friend I've known who I used to know for years would tell me stuff like, unconditional love is real. Unconditional love is why I'll stay around. I might not stay around in the same capacity, but I'll always be there for you, Osaka. Always. And you know what happens? They go. It's like no matter who you talk to, they just go. And even interacting with them in the first place when you have them is a kind of distraction. I mean, eventually you'll run out of topics to talk about. You're gonna run out of things to share. The dynamic is gonna change as people change, but even before that happens, people just go. And to them, the memories they had with you are transient. You're just another person to them. Nothing to pay any significant mind to. They knew you at one point. They benefited from having you as a friend at one point. And now they're gone. Gone to replace you with the next person. I'm gonna be replaced with the next person by everybody I know. And for me, as someone who struggles to make friends, who is annoyed by most people, I have to have that in the back of my mind. They're gonna be gone. They're gonna be gone. Everybody's gonna be gone one day. And I'm not talking about the big sleep here. For the love of God, I wish I could be going to the big sleep by now, but I mean, all my friends, everybody, they're just gonna be gone. And then what? I can't use them as a distraction anymore. I mean, I'm watching this Let's Play right now, but it wasn't distracting enough for me not to have to record this video. I don't really play video games anymore. I used to, but I've lost interest to a pretty big extent, but it's like even if I could regain my interest in video games, what would be the point? I mean, what's the point to any of this? I mean, you get a job and then most of your income goes to rent. I had to pay $100 on groceries the other day, and it wasn't even that much groceries. I mean, there's gotta be a way out, right? And it's like, the thing is, I know the way out. I can just wake up one day and take an AR-15, put it right to my mouth, and it's only one quick click away. Bam. It's only one quick click away, and no more. No more of this shit. I mean, I've lost so many friends by now. It's like, even as my life significantly improves, even as if people give me all these chances. I've been given so many chances most people will never get to get a start in life, to invest in myself, to invest in my future. And then I think, well, what is it all for? You know, they say work for a living, but what are you living for? That's sort of a meme-y phrase that I've used in a lot of these videos, because as true as it sounds kind of funny, but I mean, it rings true. What are you living for? All it is just you point the barrel to your head and then one click of a button and you're gone. No more of this shit. No more waking up every day and having to struggle to get out of bed because you're gonna be for 8 hours a day, maybe more, doing something you don't want to do. You're gonna talk to your friends and then ultimately feel like you're alone talking to your friends because you feel like you're distracting yourself from the inherent pain, the inherent suffering that is existence. And then, really in the back of your head, you're going to be thinking, they're going to be gone soon, and I can't even rely on them for this the most basic increase in pleasure that I have in my life. But even then, it's not that much. In a way, I wish I could be a binge eater or something. Like, hey, I mean, those people, they experience pleasure when they eat. A lot of the time, I don't. A lot of the time, I eat something, I come away from it, and I just want to off myself. You know, I got to be a NEET again for this brief period while I'm looking for work. And I'm reminded by the innate suffering that is life. When I wasn't a NEET, I kept thinking, I want to get a job. I want to get a job so I can be preoccupied. Gotta be doing things. Gotta keep myself occupied. But it's like, what am I really being occupied from? What I'm being occupied from is this malaise, this lack of energy, this pain, this psychic pain that's ever present throughout my life. And then you know, I go to work, and then it's a new kind of pain. It's all the pain I described, but then it's the physical exhaustion, then it's the mental exhaustion, and you come home and you don't have any free time to do the things that spark even a modicum of joy. I mean, they don't really spark joy. It's almost like I have to convince myself that my interests spark joy outside of those very, very rare moments when I get a visceral sort of happiness. It's just me doing those things because it's something to do. It's a distraction, but I can't truly be distracted because I'm making this video. Feels like until the problem is solved, I just I keep getting affected by it, and how else to stop being affected by it other than to put a bullet to the head. By far the thing that worked best for me, that seems to be unachievable, without significantly changing some things about myself or my geography, is a relationship. When I was with my ex, who I mistakenly mistreated, he caused me to have some of the most viscerally pleasurable moments of my life, in addition to some of the most consistently happy moments of my life. Moments I never experienced anything like before. And he had the kind of personality that if he were to, in tandem with my personality, cultivate a healthy relationship, it could have lasted a while. I mean, my problem with the relationships is always that I'm thinking, when are they gonna leave? When are they gonna leave? When's it gonna be over? And inadvertently, I end up leading the person away. I push them away through thinking like this. The desperation ends up making me less appealing and harming the other person. But if it weren't for those factors, we really were very compatible with one another. That's why we could have had such beautiful moments together. Moments that supersede the common assumption one might have when you're in love. When you're in love, there's lots of positive and viscerally positive things that happen, but there it was something special. He was something special, it was something different. And I tarnished that. I didn't appreciate what I had. I didn't behave in the way that I should have, given how good the thing I had was. And so, what I can't stop remembering from the time we spent together was how I got the best sleep I had ever gotten in my whole life, sleeping in the same bed with him. The immense amount of comfort and joy I felt just from observing his mannerisms, or hearing him talk about his interests, or seeing that he was in the same room as me. It was like the mere fact that his presence was there elicited some kind of glowing quality. It, like, once we were past the honeymoon phase, I felt like this, like, he just made me happy. The jokes that he would make, the observations he would make, the little things about his demeanor, his physical appearance, like how affectionate he was towards me. The way that he and I would be able to talk endlessly, even about mundane things. I don't know how I gave up something so special. I had everything, and I threw it all away. And even though he broke up with me in December of 2020, I continue to think about it here in July 2021. I think about it every day. I'm in pain over it every day. I don't even necessarily want to date anyone else because how could anyone compare to him? I don't know how anyone could compare to him. I just want a second chance and to be able to apologize, atone, to be able to show that I wouldn't do anything like that again. But the problem is, some things we do, some things we say are non-refundable. I was given multiple chances, and I failed. I didn't take those chances to the full extent that I should have. And we can sit here and talk about HRT's influence. We can sit here and talk about the environment that I was in, how if he and I were to be in a relationship, we probably should have waited. But we didn't wait. We did the immature thing, and as a result of that, I did a lot of immature things. I did some abusive things. And so I have to take responsibility for my actions, but as a result of taking responsibility for them, I also have to reckon with the fact that I'm never going to be able to get that back. You know, people who are in love, they say, you're one in a million. And I've always thought that phrase is kind of shallow. It doesn't mean much. But that guy, there were so many unique things about him. Not just things that were similar to myself that are already extremely unique, but so many unique things about him that made him who he is, that it's like, I think back to the time I spent with him, the quiet moments and the moments of conversation, and the moments where he simply occupied my mind, and I think, man, how could such a beautiful person have existed? And how could they have been in love with me, of all people? And despite how lucky I was in that sense, I squandered it. I was ungrateful. There were moments when I treated him like I didn't love him at all. And it's something that haunts me every single day of my life. I I don't know if I'll ever get over this. I mean, one ex I had, it took me over 2 years to get over. And I still have friends that I haven't gotten over for over 4 years. One of my biggest flaws is I don't seem to be able to let go of people. And so if I know this about myself, shouldn't the logical thing be to do to either prevent myself from having these kinds of long-term relations, or to um, um, only talk to people who I can reliably assume will be around for a while I work on whatever core trauma is causing this. I mean, those would be the logical things to do, but I was given the opportunity to be intimate with someone who felt like a once in a lifetime scenario, who was deeply, deeply special. And I took it when I wasn't ready, and subsequently, many immature mistakes were made. I look at my life now, and I look at the end of the day, the moments when I'm trying to fall asleep at night, and I desperately cling to the idea that there could be a warm body next to me, someone who understands me and accepts me fully for who I am and loves me unconditionally. The kind of love that I never received as a child. When I was a kid, I was abandoned time and time again. I was treated not just like I wasn't loved, but like I was hated. And so, when I make friends or relationships, I cling to them like maybe this is a chance in my life to not be abandoned as I was as a child. And as a result of that, every single memory gets imbued with such significance that I can't imagine abandoning someone else like that. Because if I did, I would be doing the exact same thing I did to myself as a child that happened to me as a child. I just desperately want to apologize. I just desperately want to take back the things that I did and said. because they were things that I never meant. I just desperately want to show the person I am versus the person I was when I did those things. Because as miserable as my life is, as difficult as it is for me to hold on every single day, at least those moments of solace I can find in the intimacy with others provides some kind of spine, some kind of backbone that can hold me up during the day. How can one person fuck up so badly? So royally badly when you're given everything on a silver platter? As I sit here listening to this music now, my mind is wrought with the vivid imagery of the first real meetup me and my ex had. The meetup where it was just the two of us. It was the last day of the trip, and I sat in his lap, and together we watched our favorite Digibro video, the one that had connected with the two of us the most emotionally. I remember discussing with him exactly why it meant so much to the two of us and connecting it back to the various ways in which we related to one another. I felt so accepted in who I was, so capable of being genuine to an extent that I never had before. The only problem was that I felt compelled to be more feminine in some regards than I was. I felt like if for something this good to exist, there had to be caveats that I had to perform in the face of. Those things weren't true, I don't think. But those things ended up being my downfall. They ended up creating a series of events that pushed him further and further away from me, and making me myself frustrated in him for things that he hadn't really done, but were rather products of things I had done that I misplaced blame onto him. But there's no one else I can sit in the lap of and experience that level of connection. There's no one who would be that kind to me in the face of so many of my own individual struggles, understand, provide a space where I can simply be comfortable being 100% intimate. There's no one like that. And there's no one like that who I found myself in anywhere near to the degree I found in him. I took all of this and I behaved in a way that was ultimately ungrateful. And so now, here in mid-July, after the breakup in late December of 2021, I am left desperate desperate to relive those memories in some small way, because I know that I'll never be able to experience anything akin to them, because the person who was able to bring them out is gone from my life and wants nothing to do with me. The things I said and did were non-refundable. They were bad choices. And now, every single waking moment of my day, I bear the consequences of those actions. I have to take responsibility. And I acknowledge that. But being a human who acknowledges that is also acknowledging that you're a human who's going to experience the immense pain associated with that. I don't want anybody else. I just want him again. And the prospect of being with him again is nigh impossible.